You can have it, son.
Are you live?
Yes.
Zamanlarda bunun lisans sayısına götürdü. Master'da bitmemiş, hala devam ediyor. Ama Manon'un da bitmedi. Devam, sıkıntı yok. Ama şu an sonunda merak etme değilim yani.
Permissions. Let's have a look.
Adım için.
Telegram. Settings. There we go. Just trying to check my stream permissions there. Rez, what's up? Can you hear me, Rez? Can you see the screen?
Bütün devamı özel konulara girdiği için belki de sıkmak zorunda. Bunun için kusura bakmayın. Bugün de bu kadar olsun. Ben kaçıyorum. Edemem. Allah'a emanet. Bir sonraki videoda
Four minutes. 4 minutes, guys. Let's see what happens in 4 minutes. This is actually the entry I was looking for on US 30, but I'm a bit scared to take it now. Especially since it's 4 minutes before FOMC. Let me just log into my MetaTrader, maybe I'll take something. US 30. Small possibility, it's tapped here already, right? What we were looking for ideally was to go down here and then come back up here. May have a situation where and I was looking at that from these equal lows that formed here. I was looking at the move up, but to here and then down. But what may happen is we get this flat kind of structure here, and then it goes down here and then pops back up into here at 8:30 or so. So we'll have to look at that move. I may just take a move here if it allows me to. 32,671, $100. Yeah, anything above this level here is obviously invalidation on this trade to go down. So either we pump up into here and then we'll look for a breakdown here, or we go down first here and then we pump up here and then we break down. So I'm looking for either or at this point. Anything you guys want to tell me? I think there's a live chat here. Let me just see if you guys have access to the live chat. I'm going to give you guys access to the live chat. You can post in there. Permissions. And everyone can view the channel. Can send messages and embed links, attach files. There we go. Alright, so there's a live chat. Should be accessible. I'm going to type out there just to test it out. If I can find out where my Discord went to. Discord. Yeah, look at that. Ran straight through the level. So definitely lucky we didn't take anything here. Ran straight through this level, took the liquidity above here, and I'll ideally, ultimately, maybe we want to look at something up there. BTC ran Monday's low. May look to go higher here into the previous week's value area high. We have all of this liquidity resting above here, so this will be interesting to see what happens here. We also have these Monday's high here, liquidity to the left, and an H1 bearish order block in here. The H1 fair value gap was already touched in there, so eyes on this level here, the previous week value area high there. Right, we'll watch that, and then we'll see what the move after that is. Right, so it's in a bearish order block now. Let's see what happens there. May even take the liquidity on the top here and run for the trend line here. See, it's taken the liquidity already. It's taken this liquidity, so there's even this trend line up here. Let's have a look at what BTC is doing. BTC is still pumping. So the markets are actually pumping at the moment. So when the news comes out around 8:30 or this starts to settle, would be interesting. These were thin moves on either side here. Like, so this was a thin move here, and now we've got another thin move here. So these should retrace at some point. I'm just going to switch between US 30 and NAS since I'm looking at trades for both. Nice Darth Maul candle here on BTC. Let's see how far this can go, if it can go anywhere. Alright, so we had an accumulation phase here. This looks to be like a manipulation phase going on here. then we very well may get a distribution phase that comes after that. Right, it has taken liquidity in a high time frame daily bearish order block, so going to be interesting here. Let me just open up the Discord. Escape there. Here. That's it. Is there anything you guys want me to look at in particular? Just let me know. Yeah, Morpheus, you're right. More. So the idea is that the FOMC is the false move to the top side, right? And the actual move comes closer to 8:30. But we'll let things settle and see what happens, yeah? If it does retrace, it's going to be interesting to see, especially on US 30, if this is becoming one sort of big inverted head and shoulders here. So the retrace that we may get may only go until here. We'll have to reassess our situation here with this inverted head and shoulders, but because we did have a bullish move to the upside, right? This has been going to the upside. We are in a daily bearish order block, and we're also in approaching this high time frame level of resistance here, trend line resistance. Let's just switch it down. I've got too many things open here. So I want to see if NAS has what it takes to bust through this trend line resistance here, or because the move up was thin, so this is a balanced price range at the moment, right? Within here, let me just darken my strokes. Now, because this was a thin move, but also a balanced price range where it balanced this down candle here to the left, it needs to rebalance itself to the bottom, right? So within this bullish order block here may be an opportunity to buy NAS if the next candle or starts to push down in here. We'll look at that. If not, if it starts to break structure here, then we've got this candle here, inefficient candle to the left of here, and we've got a ton of other things to the downside here that need to be addressed. A lot of inefficiency to the downside. Let's see what the next candle can do here. BTC 20.7, yeah. So you can see it's probably going for Monday's high. It's taken out Monday's low, bounced off the previous week value area low. So let's make sure you guys are catching all of this. I'm not too sure if you guys are hearing me. No one is saying anything. So, Slotman, are you there? Can you comment?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Are you guys hearing me? I know you're seeing the screen, but are you guys hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Do you hear me?
I think my mic's working. Right.
Hello, can you hear me?
So, like I said previously, two things were going to happen here. We were going to get a 3-drive pattern into the... I can't hear slot though. How come I can't hear slot at all? Why can't I hear slot?
Hello, can you hear me?
I think my mic's... I can't hear slot at all.
We hear you.
He's muted at the moment. Okay. Well, you can hear me. That's fine. Right. So, like I mentioned before with BTC, we had the first drive here. This was the second drive. We were looking for a retracement here and then a pump for a possible third drive before displacement. There's a small chance that this liquidity here was enough, but I don't like it because there wasn't enough displacement that took place out of it here. Chances are that this comes and makes equal sort of highs here with Monday at the top of the gray zone that we had marked off, which is the resistance zone, and then we roll over here, right? So this would be the break of structure, the SMT or SMC entry, a move down, the first leg of distribution, another move down, and then a second leg coming in here after that, like so, and then a further move to the downside. But right now BTC holding up pretty well. I just want to see what the indices are doing for now. So the next 20 minutes are going to be telling here, right? I've marked this off for you guys. We had a break of structure here. We had another one here after a pullback into a level here, right, or this order block here. We had another break of structure here and bounced off there was a fair value gap within here. So we bounced off, I think it was an H4 fair value gap or H1 fair value gap. And now this retraced here, it's taken liquidity, so we've broken to the downside, but this could have been a liquidity run. But if that's the case, then what this has done is this created inducement here, which is now taken off, and then we also have inducement here, so there's liquidity lying at these two levels within this bearish order block, which we tapped into already here. So that may just be it for now, and in the next 20 minutes we may head further down. Even though these points of interest, these previous week value area highs, so for that I used the PVP and set it to a weekly. So this is where we're getting most of where I'm getting most of my levels. You can see here. So this was the previous week value area high here. We've marked it off here. The point of control, it's already tapped it within the week, so I didn't mark it off again. And then the previous week value area low here, we've marked that off. And you can see where BTC has sorry about that. You can see where BTC has come into, right? It came into the previous week value area low, and we rejecting off the H1 fair value, a bearish order block. There's a fair value gap within here. We've taken inducement liquidity. I've got eyes on this previous week fair value area high, but I'm not too sure if it gets there. But if it does, would be interesting. So apart from that, we've got levels to the downside, right? We've got the fair value H4 fair value gap below us, and we have so this is an H4 fair value gap. This is the first one. This is the second one. This is our level to watch here, which is 19,951. That'll give us anything that breaks below that would give us sort of a break of structure. But there's also a small chance that we had the lows broken here, right? A liquidity run here, and then a move to the upside, which I wrote about. I think I spoke about in the Discord here. And this sort of price action here that happened here before this pump up, this sort of consolidation here was actually bulls defending this position here. So it makes me wonder what kind of defending are they actually doing off these lows, if they are defending. And if that's the case, we are seeking to go higher and grab liquidity higher, and then the next point of interest would obviously be here before here. For now, we assuming that we have break of structure here and here, that all of this is just one sort of move to the upside, or something that's flagging, and then we're going to get another move down. I did mark off in the group earlier, if this is more bearish, and I'll show you the higher time frame count, that this becomes sort of like an A wave, or the left shoulder, neckline, a right shoulder, neckline, possible right shoulder here, and then breakdown. Or we could just keep on breaking down here completely, right? So that's in the bearish case, and that is if we don't hold in these fair value gaps that are lying here, right? So you don't want, because this level here is going to act as inducement as well. So we had a 3-wave move to the upside. There's stops that are lying below here, so I wouldn't be surprised if we take these stops here as inducement and then continue to the upside and carry on filling this fair value gap. If we start to bleed a bit lower, once in that situation where we head down and take the inducement and down to the lows here, then I'd look for this level to become resistance, and everything that was above here within the gray is a small deviation to the level here, right? Now on the higher time frame, I think on BLX this morning I marked off a few levels. We can have a look at that. On the higher time frame, what we want to see maybe is here, and let's just go to BLX or BTC USD, Coinbase. I think maybe let's have a look. Right, Coinbase. In Coinbase, we're still sticking with the idea of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where this was the first impulse here. This was the wave 2. Now the wave 3 didn't quite hit that 1.618, right? But in my experience, what I've found in the past is that some point of the wave 4 usually hits that 1.618 extension. So if it's not the wave 3 itself, then the wave 4 comes down to the 1.618 extension. And if we look at that, then we are looking at a possible A wave here, this being a B, or a WXY for the B, where this was A, B, C here, and then we have that zigzag that came in here, and then we get another A, B, C down for a B wave, and then the C wave that comes in after we move down to around 14.5K. There's a lot of confluence around that 14.5K level. I've shown you the heat maps where bulls are defending 14.5K, and what that does for us is we get people thinking that they were front run here, or there are stop losses that are placed here. There is a bit of an imbalance here. There's a bearish order block in there. So if we start to break down here, and this was the zigzag, for example here, and we break down here, then the better move for BTC to do would be to collect this trend line liquidity lying here. Sorry, I don't know why it does this. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to put another one, delete this one, and put this one in, right? So it creates trend line liquidity here. Let's just draw it in a bit neater so we keep it there. From here to here, right? This becomes trend line liquidity. Like I've told you before, I'm not too sure if I mentioned, there's 3 types of liquidity that the market will seek. One being trend line liquidity like this. You've seen it always. Well, this is a clear situation here where you've got trend line liquidity, or if you had a move that kept doing something like that, and then you had all that trend line liquidity, then suddenly the market moves down and takes all of that liquidity. So that's trend line liquidity. And then the other one is range liquidity, which is old highs and or lows, right? So there'd be liquidity at the bottom and the top of the range there. So we look for that to take liquidity there as well. So in this case, like I said, we have this trendline liquidity. It doesn't get taken now, and sadly, a possibility that we don't go higher than this or this now, which is okay, because what that leaves us with is we take the buy side liquidity, which is resting below here. We tap that 1.618 extension at 14.5K for BTC, right? And then we hit a 5-wave move to the top side. So we get something like that. We come down here, we don't break any lows here, so that, and then we get an impulsive move upward here. Consolidation, and then the final leg up. So it gives us a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, and that completes the C wave of this wave 4 here. Then we need to start looking for shorts. Now, if we do get down here, like I said, if we do get down here at this 1.618 extension, which the wave 3 should have hit, if we do get down there, then we're going to have to use our Neowave time rules, where we know in this flat, if this was, for example, the A wave here, right? So this was the A wave. We know that the B wave needs to take more time than the A wave. So this is A, and then we get the B that does this, right? It needs to take more time than the A wave took, which it already is doing, which we can see here. This was the equal amount of time, and we've already passed it here. Now, once we get that, you can see that A and B wave are different in time. So what we would need to do is we would need to take the time that A wave took plus the time that the B wave took and divide that by divide it by 2, right? Divided by 2. So A plus B divided by 2, because A and B were different in time. And what that would give us is it would give us a time that wave file, the C wave here, should take, and we'd expect this to move in 5 waves. So there, 3, 4, 5, right? And this should take an amount of time equal to A plus B divided by 2, but it should also take longer time than this A took. So if the A took here, let's put it here. If A took, sorry, 1 second. This was, what is this thing doing? Here. All right, so if A took 58 days, then this should take a minimum, if not longer than 58 days to complete, which puts us, for example, if we end off here, minimum of 58 days puts us into January. So a lot of meandering and messing around if it does go this way, right? So we get this C wave, 5 wave move to the upside here, takes the trend line liquidity here, comes into a bearish order block here, doesn't go higher here because that would make it break structure and be a bit more bullish, because what we are dealing with at the moment in terms of structure, we have the top here, we have a leg here, we have a higher low here, a lower low, and this we can't call a lower high yet because the wave 3 hasn't been broken. Once the wave 3 low gets broken, we can call this a higher low. This becomes an inducement level here, and then this will become a lower low, and this will become a lower high. So anything above that A wave high or 25K would make us a bit more bullish and break structure. So we won't want that to happen. We look for it to come to the an order block that takes liquidity above here and here, and most likely comes into the order block here, right? And then we'd look for shorts, and then the target for that, in this particular case, I've just gone with a 1:1 extension of wave 1 for wave 5. And that puts us at, let's have a look here. Right, so we took the length of wave 1, projected it from a possible wave 4, and that puts us at about 11k, right? Now, having said that, and 11k, if you guys want to say anything, I'm not too sure, you can type it out in the chat because I can't seem to hear anyone. Secret, I see you there with your mic off. Can you say something, because I can't hear a thing, brother. Not hearing anything from my speakers for some reason. Starting to wonder whether it's actually working. Let me join the live chat from my phone. Just give me a second. Yeah, well, I can't hear any of you guys, so I'm not too sure what's going on there. Right.
Can you hear me?
Having said that, like I said, if you're looking for 10k, then sorry, earlier this morning I did post some stuff here. We'll have a look at it now. Let's go here. So we'll look at this really quickly. Right. I posted something like this where we marked off some levels on BTC, right? And what we used is, I had a chat with Slothman, and we looked at a few fib levels, which are basically extensions, 100% extensions of certain consolidations to get targets, right? So if we looked at the bottom of BTC to the top here, this consolidation gave us a 100% extension, which caught the top on BTC. If we looked at Netflix and was it Meta, Netflix bounced off a 100 to 123% extension of this kind of move down. So what I've done is I've taken an extension down this way, 100% to 123%. Not too sure why this isn't showing. Let me have a look here. Okay, that's fine. 100 to 123%. So I took from that, from the first high to the bottom, and then we took another one from the actual high here to the bottom here of this consolidation, and we got the lower end of this, right? So that gave us that, and then we had the 123%, I think, in here for this. And what I also did, so that was the high time frame extensions. What I also did this way, I took the extension from here to here, and we plotted it down, and you see it gives us the bottom of this first one here. And between 100, 123 and 150% of these extensions, so we're looking at BTC coming down to these levels. That's what we are looking at, if it is a 5-wave move to the downside, if that makes sense. As you can see, we had the levels marked off here, here, and here. So this is actually a lower low here. Even that we can't really call a lower low until we get some sort of pullback. But if it breaks below here, then this will cement this as a lower low. And if we break down here and then come back up here, we'll have a another lower low here, lower high here, and then again, like I said, a lower high there. Is there anything else you guys want to look at in particular? This was just nothing too fancy. I'm not doing too much analysis here. We are just looking at what's happening between 8 o'clock and 8:30 my time, which is the half-an-hour interval when the FOMC is happening, and then Powell speaks in 2 minutes or so. Right, gold, let's have a look at gold really quickly. Gold has pumped up So we've broken structure again to the upside, which makes me think that the possibility that gold may have, and I'd hate to see it, may have reversed from this level that we were looking at. We were looking at the 30-minute fair value gap here, but I don't. If we just get maybe a run on liquidity here, there's a chance that we can still come back down here and then start to move to the top side. So I'm not really worried on gold until we start to break the higher. Then we can confirm that the bottom here was actually a reversal on gold within the green zone we had marked off. I think we had LTC pumping today. Let's have a look at what that has been doing, and we'll look at ETH. Right, like I said, again, not much displacement going on in terms of, let's have a look here. So we don't get any much displacement going off the highs here, and I don't even think we took too much liquidity. We did have a run on the liquidity in this area here for ETH, but the lack of displacement is worrying me a bit. We had some minor breakdowns here. A run up here gave us equal highs, a break of structure here, another break of structure, and then what we need to worry or watch out for is that will ETH come for this relative equal highs or trendline liquidity, or will it get stuck here within this bearish order block and then sort of roll over again here. Again, eyes on this level here for the actual break of structure and change or shift in market structure, so we'll be monitoring that as well. Right, so that's ETH. Let's have a look at LTC. Right, this is what we had marked up for LTC. If you look here, and this is the running joke, but it doesn't seem like it's just a running joke with us. It seems like it's with everybody. That LTC is the harbinger of death. Right? When LTC starts to pump, everyone gets worried. So from an analysis point of view, this isn't bullish at all, right? It hasn't taken off this pullback. We had a break of structure which gave us a low. We have some meandering here, and from there what actually happened was we had these relative equal lows form here, and LTC ran and took the liquidity here, right? Once it did that, it then broke structure here, and then we had a minor consolidation and ran the lows here again, which is another break of structure. So what that leaves us with, it leaves us with an inducement level here, which we've marked off, a bearish order block to the upside, and we have created liquidity behind above all of these points here and here, right? Now this did stop. I marked it off for you guys. If we went down to the H1, just to get an idea of where is it possible for LTC to have stopped. We always look to the left, and there's your answer. Here we had an H1 fair value gap, so this was the high of the fair value gap, this was the low of the H1 fair value gap. If we project those figures to the right, you can see that's where it's finding its resistance at the moment. Now I've possible that this becomes a swing high here, and we need to look for some break of structure here. Again, imbalanced move here, so that will fall at some point. I wouldn't mind even LTC going a bit higher. We've allowed it the room to go into this bearish order block here. So we've allowed that for it to come here and then sort of create structure there and be bearish or bullish if it wants. We'll allow that. For now, structure is, for me, still bearish. I don't think there's anyone that can say that this is any bullish structure right here. I could be wrong, but for me, I'd want to see this get taken out, right? For now, we're just meandering in there. I want to see that high get taken out and make a higher low, right? Again, we had a drive into the level 3 drive. We had a break of structure. We are now getting a pullback of some sort, and we need to look for rejection or exhaustion here, and then the next break of structure. Maybe we get a pullback into the level to take it further down, but the eye is on the buy side, sell side liquidity that's resting below there, right? So we'll watch out on that. Anything else you guys want to look at? Let's take a look at some of your other stuff, right? Sol and whatever. Like I said, this is not a full analysis stream. We're just trying to figure out what's going on with the markets. And before we get there, let's look at the S&P. Right. So this is a bit better looking, and what I wanted to see in the US 30, right? We had the run of the level here. We had displacement. We broke structure. Now this becomes sort of a standard ICT sell entry type, right? We have a fair value gap in here and here. We also have a fair value gap above here. 2 fair value gaps. Now we don't know whether, I'm just going to mark them off a bit better. We don't know whether price rejects off the first fair value gap, which it didn't. And within that we have the orange levels, which is a daily bearish order block, right? Then we have the second fair value gap, which I think it may have just touched. Could be mistaken. Yeah, I think it just touched that second one. So chances are that, just take a look here. Chances are that if we get some sort of structure here, it may want to roll over, right? I'm not saying that it will. This could just be an accumulation. So we had a consolidation here, accumulation here, and then we have a manipulation that runs these highs again, and then we finally take them. I'm not sure. Look on a slightly higher time frame. We were at the levels that we said we would be weeks ago, right? Before the pump even started to happen, we marked off 3,800, and that was based purely on let's have a look here. That was based purely on the fractal of, I'm not too sure where we took that from. Let me just take a look here quickly, right? It may have been somewhere here. Was it here? Yeah, I think it was somewhere here like this, right? Where you get this kind of move happening with the S&P. And then we get a sell-off. So we had the 3,800, and let's forget fractals and let's take a look at something else, right? And we will switch over to a weekly maybe. Right here. So we had the initial push down to the downside here, and we had rejection of the weekly bearish order block. We then broke structure here. Price came back in here and rejection of the weekly bearish order block again. Came back down, rejected a bit, and then pumped up, took the inducement liquidity, and then we made a lower low here. Now, if we, and you can see I've marked off the structure here, which is bearish, right? This is bearish market structure, lower lows and lower highs. We need this to have taken again, this has come into, so we broke the low, and then this has come into weekly bearish order block. Now, there is sort of an inducement level up here, but maybe we head down a bit first before we do something like that and then roll over. So that would be a possibility there. Or we roll over a bit here and then come back for this level here, then roll over. So that would keep some structure intact as well. Right, but overall still bearish on S&P 500. I just want to have a look at my US 30 short, because I did short it at the top here, and I see it's running into profit at the moment. US 30. And we'll talk about NAS as well just now, because that was doing some crazy things today. Right, you can see that this entire move, 15 minute, this is US 100, this entire move on NAS retraced. But like you said, like I said, US 30 never broke its low there. If we put a comparative chart up here, US 30 had a move here and then a pump up which took out these highs, right? NAS broke these highs and then came back into, like I said with the S&P, back into the fair value gap here. And if I mark it, you're going to see that it's almost to the pip or to the T. If we mark off this fair value gap here, this is what NAS came into. I'm almost certain. There we go, right? Back into the fair value gap, the first fair value gap. Now, there's always a chance that it could have went higher and fallen an imbalance to the upside. At the second fair value gap there's always a chance that it could have done that. We've got enough displacement. All we need maybe is to take off the lows here, and then we'll consider looking at some sort of pullback here to send it back down. Now, you can see the entire FOMC news has been retraced. We've taken structure is bearish. We had a break of structure. We had another break of structure. We took inducement liquidity here. Technically, we don't have to go any higher. If this wants, though, it could meander here a bit, one more pump up, take that second fair value gap, and then go down. So that's something we'll watch out for. Now let's just pop back up to US 30 and look at the comparison here. So in NAS, you saw NAS 100, you saw it break down here, then pump up just to take this, and then now we are at sort of this point here, right? In the US 30, this has completely retraced the move here, but it's also taken out the highs here, which I'm starting to wonder whether this is actually going to be a liquidity grab here and we head lower, or something more bullish where the entire market wants to head a bit higher here, right? Like I said, wants to head a bit higher here and do something like that. So rebalancing itself very thinly at the moment, so I'm not too sure what it wants to do exactly here. I should have actually closed the short. Maybe I'll just have to close at break even. We'll see what happens. Let's go down to a slightly lower time frame. Right, so yeah, maybe there's something happening here. Let's take a look. Let's go down to a 1 minute. Right, runoff runoff liquidity, displacement, order block. Technically, if you were going to take a short, it would be here right now in this block, and we target the lows or target even lower there, right? So let's see how that works out if we draw this in here. Price has tapped there, and you'd want to, short position would be at the beginning here. again, we're trying to do things at a terrible time when there's news happening, but you can take that this trade here most likely. This may work out. I'm not saying it will. May work out. You could wait for. Alternatively, you could wait for the a reversal type of pattern here. Right, working on a very low time frame on NAS, hoping that this break of structure after this liquidity run and the pullback here actually gives us a move down to the range low again, if not lower. So we'll monitor that and see what's happening. Anything else you guys want to talk about? I can't hear any of you for some reason. I'm not too sure why it is. I just want to play something on YouTube just to see whether I actually do have sound. Hopefully I don't get banned or anything from... sorry guys, this is going to be a baby rainbow.
Trusted Aquafresh toothbrushes. Now in new 100% plastic-free packs.
Right.
Great toothbrushes for your teeth. Better.
So yeah, Purple, this little cartoon character on the first day we created our own. Oh, but I'm sorry. Sometimes I get excited.
Did you just say a bad word?
What?
What'd you say?
Cartoon.
Anyways, today
Right, okay.
you are
So,
going on.
sorry, rookie mistake. My son's headphones were plugged in, so I didn't hear you guys at all because it was playing through the headphones. I should be able to hear you now, Sloth, if you're there. Or
Yeah,
anyone.
can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly now. Fuck, I feel like an idiot.
Okay.
Yeah. He had his headphones plugged into my the top of my computer, and I'm wondering why I can't hear anything.
No worries, man. I think everyone would rather hear you anyway, so.
Yeah, so let's have we'll mull around. Anything else you guys want to look at? Would be interesting to see how this actual trade here works out.
Should we look at the dollar?
Yeah, we can look at the dollar, no problem. That's it there, right? Yeah. Ideally, I think I wanted the dollar to come up here and then come back down to this level here, right? So we're not there yet, so that may be what we will be looking for, and it may be something, like that. Once it comes here, then we'll get a final pump up, because the overall picture on the dollar, overall picture on the dollar is something like that. Higher time frame, looking for a liquidity sweep there of, just the inducement sort of liquidity there, right? We had that, and that break of structure here, and defended bullish, so we get something here, and then we finally take a stab at this inducement liquidity here. How far further it goes, we'll have to figure that out as it gets there, but it has been taking liquidity here, these sort of highs here, and I'm almost certain that people will look for weakness in the red here, which they are now. But I think it takes this red level here, to be honest with you, because technically in a normal asset, when you're looking at it, this is where the buy stops are, and your stop losses here.
It's crazy when you zoom out like this on a weekly chart how corrective this whole thing looks, even though it has felt so impulsive.
Yeah, so because you know what comes next after this, right? And we've said it, and people may not like it, but it's an unfortunate thing, and I don't know how and why or what happens in your country there, my brother. But if we look at that, so again, the same sort of sell model that I showed you on NAS just now, right? And maybe we must, let me just show it again, right? So we had that move up on NAS, and then we had this, we had a little retracement, and again this sort of broke some structure on this side here, right? Let's call it that. And then we had another break of structure. It didn't retrace fully to some sort of bearish order block or supply zone. It left a fair value gap behind in here that was also front run. So this becomes a level of inducement because we broke structure to the downside, and then suddenly you get a pump back up like this that comes to that fair value gap that you had marked off, and then we start to see that weakness, and then it rolls over. So if we look at that kind of model here, you're seeing the same thing where we had that we had a further break of structure here, and now we're coming back to take this level. So as bullish as it may seem or look, something is going to happen here, right? And we've got this happening in a few months from now. So it's not actually quite right now, a few months from now, but something is going to happen there, because this is starting to look like an ordinary sell kind of model happening here. And I'll show it to you again. So you've seen that. Let's just look at NAS 100 again on the 30-minute. Right, and I know it's going to be like a silly thing to say or think about. But if you picture something like, let's go 15-minute, right? We said that we had this breakdown here, and then this pullback that happened here, and then a further breakdown, and then price pumps up, which is the bullish dollar we're seeing in here now, into some fair value gap here that takes the liquidity here. Right, let me neaten all of this up. So fair value gap. So we are about here on the dollar, right? Not quite at the highs yet, but it takes the highs in a fair value gap, seeks to rebalance, and then rolls over. Now it could meander like this for in particular and go back one up and then go down, but we are looking at it to go down. We'll just take a look at the dollar index again on the monthly. Was it a monthly? Yeah, so when you zoom out like this, it looks like one of these sell type of models, right? Because what's getting me, and I don't think this is any sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be that we get a period where the dollar does, I don't want to say it, this is sort of like a W here, 3 wave to the upside. We get something like that, and then we get something like that, and then we get, so it gives you that larger kind of corrective structure there, and then a move down. But that's like beyond our years now, right? This is like extremely high time frame. So for the next year or so, I think dollar strength, maybe not even a year, it could be, if this plays out, then it could be the next 2 to 3 years, because this is a monthly. So we'll have to start monitoring what the dollar is doing here. But eventually there's going to be a bigger fall on the dollar, which could happen from this period on, or it could be that this structure here, and this could be an ABC, this could be an X, this could be a Y, or this could be a W here, this could be an X here, and this could be a Y. We're not sure. So for now, we'll stick with the strength until we start to see breakdown in the dollar, which means a lot of shit for the other guys, right?
Yeah, your short should be printing now. We're dumping pretty hard.
I know it's printing. Fuck, I'm like 4K up, to be honest with you.
Nice.
Right, so I took the short here. Sorry. Well, I've been playing around with this indicator, but I haven't quite had a chance to use it. But it's been giving me like $100 moves here, $100 move here and there. Sometimes $500, $600. I just didn't have time to use it. The back testing of it looks okay, but I just didn't have time to actually take a trade based off of it. Right, so this is a trade we sort of shit. I marked it off live for you. What the fuck? Hold on. I'm here already. Auto. There we go. Right, we were on the, let's go on a 5 minute. We were on a 1 minute for this trade here. And at this point, I did tell you that we'll go over it again. So we had a push into the level here. a run up here, first run, right? Watch this. First run, pull back. The second run was the liquidity grab because it gave us the displacement that broke structure. If you guys, can you guys understand? That's a concept that I've been drilling down for quite a while now.
I'm looking at even on the 4 hour, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And then we had so the displacement is the key. So what I've learned in terms of patience is the displacement is the key factor here. So we had the initial run here, but lack of displacement, right? Now, if you went on into a lower time frame, you would have gotten, well, there is a lower time frame, but we won't get there. You would have gotten a bit tricked here, thinking that, oh, this is breaking down here with this little bit of displacement, and then suddenly you get a pump up, because you'd be looking for a pullback into this level to short it down there. But so we have the run here, takes liquidity again, and again you can see 1, 2, 3 drive into a level, right? We got left with this bearish order block here. Right, we got left with the bearish order block, and you had to be quick with this, right? So the entry was at the beginning of the order block. Like I mentioned to you guys the other day, it's always the lowest hanging fruits. You don't want to be too accurate. You don't want to go for the median of this level or almost the very top of the level or whatever it is, right? You want to go for the first entry that you can possibly get, which was here. Your stop would have been just above here. This is, and so this was a 2.36, but it's now giving me a 1:4 at the moment, right? And I'm about 4K up on this move here. And let's just pop a bit higher. So we got the bigger displacement down. We've run here. I will actually look for it to come and rebalance this on a 4 hour. Let me have a look at that 4 hour that you were looking at. All right, so I'm looking for this to come rebalance sort of lower in the 4 hour down here. But it starts to get interesting here, because if you look at what happened here, and if this ends up being the daily, and it's Wednesday today, right? And I did mention that we get a Monday high here. Oh, this was Monday's high, I think. And then usually Tuesday would either take Tuesday, more often than not, it's Tuesday to Wednesday that will give you a high for the week. In this case, it's Wednesday because
Yeah, if you check SPX, it didn't break that high, right?
It didn't break that high.
So the wick.
Yeah, so there's something called there's SMT divergence, right, and correlating assets. So you look at relative strength on one as opposed to relative weakness on the other. So in S&P you had that right there, right? And on NAS it broke it. But here, right? Let's go this way. You had that there, but on NAS it was more like that there, right? Before it broke down. So this is going to act on the S&P. This is going to act as inducement here. You're going to get people wanting to buy in this zone here. But I have a feeling that this level here is going to act as inducement. It's going to run this level. It may play around here, but and get people to think, the price is reversing here. But there's liquidity lying below here, and we have a big imbalance of fair value gap to the downside here. And there's an even bigger one here, right? There's liquidity lying here, and ultimately this is the order block, the bigger order block that we had marked off here, and the refined extreme order flow order block marked in green here. So we'll look to come back down to at least those levels or lower. Because what did it do? It's already taken, it's in a daily bearish order block that we're having all of this price movement, displacement, run of the liquidity, took more liquidity here, and now we're starting to run down. So this buy side curve that we have now may start to switch over to a sell side curve, right? So you'll start to see something like this. And we'll just do that. Neaten that up there. Yep, something like that, right? So your buy side curve switches into a sell side curve, and that'll be like a complete cycle. Like I said, we're bullish on this. We had this kind of the overall is bearish, but I think this has time to play around within this, because this is your range, right? If you look at this to this is your dealing range for the S&P 500. And if we look at that being the dealing range and this being the high of the, let's go switch to a daily quickly. It can very well make a lower low, but if we look at this being the dealing range here, we went into premium areas. Let's just, right, we did go into a premium area here. You'll see it here. So that was one of the reasons why the S&P sort of sold. But I think if we look back, and there may be something here like this one, right, where we had that and then it runs back up like that before it breaks down, which we may see the same thing here. We go up here, we retrace down into this level here, and then we run back up here, and just about this inducement level here at about 41.80. So depending how heavy this gets, and I'm not too sure if BTC will or can follow, or what happens here, moves like, because BTC hardly moved on the entire move up on S&P, right? So I don't know whether it's going to follow suit, but we are still looking on that move up here, and then that move up here, and then down. I don't know if this is going to be that, how that happens here. We have that inducement level here, which was the last high before the break of the low there, or break of structure there. We are bullish on some sort of mini reversal pattern here, where we had a break of structure here, we ran the liquidity here. Price will look to come back into the zone here. Then we'll look for some reversal structure to take it at least back up here, take out the inducement, maybe even this entire bearish order block range here, and then we'll look at something like that. Right, so not too bearish on the S&P. You don't want to be too bearish, because you're going to get something like that, and then we are going to most likely get something like that, and then there, right? Yeah, that's it, guys. Anything else? I think we'll call it there for now. I need to go look at one of this trade of mine, what it's doing. Maybe close it. I mean, it's profits.
Yeah, I think eventually, if the dollar ends up following that path, right? So one more spike higher, and we look for that.
Yeah.
That on the weekly time frame, that huge dump. That's going to be where we want to look into getting into commodities, right?
Yeah.
So, because I think if the dollar's dumping like that, I think the economy as a whole is going to be shitting the bed. That's going to be good for equity.
Yeah.
But gold, silver, maybe oil is going to be where we want to be. So that's just something to keep an eye on for that high tide right place.
Let's see what happens here. Like, I don't see these levels. There's a lot of shit below us here. We've marked off a lot of shit coming up that just didn't give us this. These levels were defended fucking violently, and you know what may happen, Sloth, is that if we look at US 30 or even US 100, S&P may not make that lower low, right? But there's a chance that US 100 or US 30 does. because we've already taken that inducement level, that higher inducement level that S&P hasn't taken in its structure of breakdown. US 30 and US 100 have taken it already. So chances are that stocks are going to catch a hiding, take a beating in the days to come.
Yeah, feels that way. And yeah, I mean, in this environment, Nasdaq's always going to do worse on the down moves,
Yeah,
just because of the interest rates. So
yeah. So this is building. I mentioned something called high resistance liquidity runs and low resistance liquidity runs, where once you start to see price building up thick, sort of structure like this, you got to ask yourself, how much does it actually fucking take for you to start actually seeing something like that? Because this is thick resistance to get back to these highs here. And so this is considered high resistance liquidity runs, which actually harder for NAS to aim higher, but very easy for NAS to aim lower, right? It's low resistance liquidity runs to the downside. So you may get a pullback here, but it's very quickly runs the low. You may get a pullback here, but very quickly running the low. Can you see that? So it's easier for NAS to run down at the moment than for NAS to run up. And that's just how it is until we get to a point where this bounces, and we're not sure where it's going to be or when it's going to be. Right now it's down. It just could be one, just as this was sort of meandering up, this could just give you one big range down here until maybe COVID lows or lower. But we'll take it as it comes. So for me, for now, on not a bad place to be short, because I just want to. I'm at the trend line resistance here, right? You can see it here, and this is where we are now. That's where I am now. So I'm not in a bad place to be short here and hold something longer for something like that. I wouldn't mind it. I'll hold it. I can always open up more positions, but it's just something that I'll have to monitor in the next coming days. Right. Okay, that's it, guys. I'll upload this to YouTube for those that didn't watch it, and we'll take it from there.
awesome. Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks, bud. Talk
Cheers.
later.
Take care.